Hallo, herzlich willkommen zum virtuellen Festival bei den 62. Nordischen Filmtagen Lübeck. Hello and welcome everyone at the virtual festival of the 62nd Nordic Film Days Lübeck. And now I'll try my best. Välkommen au Nordiska Kvikmyndagarna. And I'm very happy that I can talk to the Icelandic director Ragnar Bragason, who's at the festival, and we actually have the European premiere for his film GOLDREGEN, as the original Icelandic title goes, and it's The Garden in English. So hello Ragnar, nice to meet you.
Yes, thank you. Nice to meet you too.
So just to let the audience know who I am talking with right now, you have been in the film business for quite some time, and I'll just name a few of the films that you have made in the past, which were Fiasco, Drama, Children, Parents, Mr. Bjarne Fredason, and I read that actually more than 20% of the Icelandic people saw that film, even if it was at the same time at cinemas as the blockbuster Avatar, so congratulations on that. You've also made the film Parents, and now you're here with GOLDREGEN, so it's so nice to have you here. I'd like to know that with the film GOLDREGEN, would you say that this is a bit showing us how you see the Icelandic society?
I wouldn't say it's a kind of it's not a general comment on Icelandic society. It's not a very broad film. It's very specific in terms of character and the environment. Iceland has, I would say, kind of globally a very positive image as a kind of a problem-free country with clean air and energy and beautiful landscapes and stuff like this. Unfortunately, that's not true. I mean, we have problems as anybody else in every country, you know, but on a smaller scale because we're a very small nation. But you can find the same. You can find the same problems and the same issues being dealt with. So the kind of genesis of the garden is I wanted to kind of comment on xenophobia or racism that you can find in Iceland like anywhere else. It kind of started from a piece of news I saw on the probably 8 years ago or something, 8-9 years ago. There was a piece of news about there was this in the Ministry of Environment. There was a report written or some kind of a document prepared about. They were kind of making a study of which types of vegetation, which plants, which trees they considered Icelandic, and if we should get rid of kind of unwanted vegetation. And the discussion was kind of, what is Icelandic and what is not, you know? They didn't kind of enforce it in any way. They didn't kind of start pulling up trees or plants or anything or flowers, and they just put it in a drawer. It was just kind of a, you know, observation, but I thought it was really kind of, in a way, shocking and at the same time interesting that they just had the idea to do this. And I thought the idea was really racist, not you know, not people racist, but plant racist. But I thought it kind of you know, pointed to a kind of an underlying xenophobia or racism in the country. At the same time, around the same time, I saw an interview with 3 generations of the same family, and all of them were living off the welfare system in Iceland. And I thought to myself, that was interesting to see kind of, they looked healthy, but I thought to myself, is it something that's passed down generation by generation to live off the welfare system? And somehow those two things fused together into an idea for a play called GOLDREGEN or The Garden, which I produced at the Reykjavik City Theatre maybe 6 months later.
So yeah, this was first a theater play, and if I'm right, for this theater play, you got the award for Director of the Year. So congratulations on that. So when did you decide that this should also be a film?
I mean, it's it was my first theater play. It was the first play I wrote and directed in theater. I had no intention of going into theater. It's not my medium, but we had this director of the theater who kind of had seen my films and my TV series and stuff like this, and he kind of insisted that, you know, he was always when we met, he was always insisting coming to a theater and do something. So I told him it's not. I'm a film director. I'm not a theater person. I don't have the kind of experience or the tools to work in theater. But he kind of just asked me, you know, you can just come in and do what you do. You know, you don't have to change, you know, your ways of working or anything. We just want to see what happens if we put you in the theater. So yeah, it's. I just did it the same way as I do films or TV series. I got together a group of actors and started doing a lot of kind of character-based work, improvisational work, and from that kind of sprung the idea for the play. It took me totally by surprise how successful it was. It was kind of a huge hit at the theater, and it ran for almost a year. And while I was writing the play itself, I thought, I mean, one day I'll turn it into a film, because it's kind of my way of thinking, you know. I wrote it as a film director. It was kind of confined into one living room and a kitchen in the play. But while I was writing it, I thought it would be interesting to go with the characters, you know, see, you know, what they do when they go into the outside world, you know. So in a way, it was always meant to be a film, you know. I just thought to myself, it'll probably be just a kind of a stage to go into the theater to do it. I never expected it to become so successful, and so it took me. It didn't take me long to kind of translate it or kind of transform it from a play into a script or screenplay, because it's kind of set up like that originally.
Okay, and so are there any actors who have been in the play also in the film now?
I had in the theater production there were like 5 actors, and 3 of those, the 3 main actors, are, you know, doing the roles in the film also. So it's kind of it has evolved from that. There's one of the 4. Was an Icelandic actress playing the role of a Polish character in the film. So when it came to do the film, I thought to myself, or we talked about it, me and the Icelandic actress, is that it would be better for the film to do it, you know, to be as authentic as possible and try to get a Polish actress to do it. So that's the only thing that changed from the original production.
And so you have the Laburnum Tree, which is GOLDREGEN in German and GOLDREGEN in Icelandic. So how many of these trees are there in Iceland, and was it hard to find the one that you used for your film?
There are quite a lot of GOLDREGEN. There are quite a lot of those trees in Iceland. You know, they're not very common, but you know, if you drive around the city in Reykjavik, you'll see a few. I mean, it's quite a story behind the tree, because I needed to have a tree that's seasonal, because the story takes place over a whole year. So I needed to have kind of different stages of the tree. And we did all the main location, we built it in a studio. So mostly everything you see, you know, in and around the apartment is just a built studio set, you know, kind of old school 50s style backdrops and stuff like this. So we had the tree made, it was parts of it were made in China and parts of it were made in England. So they kind of combined, you know, the flowers and the flowers of the tree are made in China and the tree itself in the UK. So that's kind of, it's a fabricated, it's in parts it's a real tree, but you know, it's mostly fake, you know.
Okay. So I really liked the idea about your main character, Indiana, loving that tree. She's the one who's like very Icelandic and doesn't like foreigners at all, so to say. But then she gets to know that that tree that she loves so much is also not Icelandic. Maybe you can comment on that one.
Yeah, I mean that's the conflicting part for Indiana, is that she's I mean, she only loves two things. One is her kind of awarded tree, and is kind of the center of her world, and then her only son, you know. So she has those two things, you know. So that's basically the main conflict of the film is when the government, you know, decide to kind of start to enforce this idea of what's Icelandic, you know, which trees, and her tree is not, you know. So she starts to try to defend the tree, but at the same time, her son kind of turns up with a foreign girlfriend, you know, a young Polish woman. So I thought it was just interesting to see how a racist or a xenophobe like Indiana would deal with those kind of situations, you know. And it kind of points to the you know, contradictions and how, you know, how people what's the word, how they kind of, you know, those conflicting, you know, feelings you have towards things, you know.
Yeah, I mean, Indiana also has a very strange way of showing how she loves her son, like actually keeping him down all the time. And so it's mostly his new Polish girlfriend who brings it all up and lets both her son Unna and Indiana see it that way, actually. Was it on purpose that it had to be the foreigner to do so?
Yeah, I mean, yes. In a sense, Daniella, the Polish character, she's the only, let's say, the only normal character in the film. She's kind of, she's our, she represents the audience. She goes into this, she's a guest into this weird world that Indiana has created, this world of swindling the welfare system and kind of trying to control her kind of small kingdom or small domain she has kind of created in that apartment, you know. So I thought it would, you know, I mean, I usually, when I make a film, I try to be very specific. I mean, when I make films for my family and for my friends, you know. So I really wanted Icelanders to be put into the shoes of a character going into this environment and kind of seeing it from the inside, you know.
Okay, thank you. So when I watched the film, I recognized that whenever Indiana is in her apartment, it's quite dark. And so whenever you show either the tree in her garden or other surroundings, then the film is so much brighter. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, for me, it's I wanted to kind of create the feeling or the sense that Indiana's apartment is kind of a cave, or is kind of a enclosed space she has created. It's her fortress, you know. She's very much afraid. She's very much afraid of the, you know, world outside, you know, and her apartment is kind of, you know, it's an extension of her emotional life, you know. So I really wanted to have kind of this dark, overcrowded, stuffy, oppressive kind of feeling within the apartment.
Yeah, I would say that you succeeded in that, and I found it really interesting. So I have to look at my cards, what I wanted to ask more. So you also have quite a different mother and son relationship, and as the film continues, it's also quite a difficult mother and mother, or let's say grandmother relationship, so daughter and mother. Is that a special topic for you too? Like, how do we cope with like the sins of our parents?
Yes, I most of my films tend to deal with kind of the structure and the dynamics and the dramas within a family, you know. It's, I've even made, you know, a film called Children and Parents, you know, so it's something I'm just interested in. I think kind of the core of every drama, the kind of you know, the basis of every drama is within a family, you know. I think it's very interesting to kind of study who we are and where we come from, you know, and usually the root of all is kind of based within the family, you know. It can go back generations and generations. And in the garden, the story, the dramatic is